Today on Gun Talk Nation, we're back with our buddy Chris Cerino talking about what ifs, when then, self-defense scenarios. Training your mind. Gun Talk Nation is brought to you by Brownells, serious about firearms since 1939, Armscor, Remington Ammunition, and Safariland. We save lives. All right, welcome into Gun Talk Nation. Today on Gun Talk Nation, we're back with our buddy, Chris Cerino. Welcome in, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ryan.
All right, so Chris, we've done this before, and I think it's always fun, but also educational. I say play the what if game. You call it something else.
I call it the when then game. Okay. When this happens, then I do that.
There you go. So it's kind of about training your mind when it comes to concealed carry, self-defense, all of that stuff. I mean, what's the value of training your mind? Well,
you know, the body's not going to go where the mind hasn't been, and we can't afford to go to training all the time. We can't feasibly go to training all the time. I mean, just now I was on my way over here. We stopped at a gas station. It was busy. It was crowded. There's all kinds of different looking vehicles and people, and you always assess everything. And the first thing I thought to myself was, I don't have a gun.
Yeah.
Because I did not bring a gun out with me
That's
today.
Not normal for you.
Right.
But we do have those moments where you go, man,
we got to change your tactics. I mean, avoidance is number one, right? Avoidance.
Yeah. How we see this on First Person Defender, how much of a problem is it for people to, I guess I always say it, and I don't think I say it eloquently, is be rude or be willing to be rude to strangers?
Yeah, you have to be willing to create distance, and sometimes that's misinterpreted as being rude. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's like, hey, stay back. Hey, I don't mind helping you, but don't come any closer. You know, I just like you to stay there. And that people don't like it. But you have to have thought that. You have to have thought that, because if you haven't thought it as someone's closing in, you're going to be like, well, is this the time? Is this the time when I should be, forceful or risk being rude?
How do I make this person stop?
Right.
And you see it all the time. We have cameras everywhere these days where, for better or worse, we're able to see a lot of examples of this stuff. And you have to be willing to just raise your voice at people if they're not listening. And maybe it's harmless.
Yeah.
But maybe you need to get their attention to go, I am not one to be messed with here. I don't know what your deal is, but I'm not playing whatever game you're playing right now.
True. I can think just like in the last week, I watch people as they come towards me or near me as I'm doing different things. And it's funny how I watch hands and faces. I look at the face for where their eyes are going and what their intent is, and I watch their hands. And thirdly, if that's a word, thirdly, I look at their waist. I look for those pokey things, pokey points. Is there a butt of a gun sticking out? Is that a cell phone? Is that a gun? Is there anything at all that I'm seeing? If there's nothing, it's kind of like, it helps me to tone down, helps me to settle back into a little bit of a comfort zone.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean I'm not ready. It just means I don't have to jump to saying, hey, hold on a second. Don't come any closer to me.
Yeah. I guess there's levels, and you kind of alluded to that. It's not just green light, red light.
Right.
There's levels to, okay, like you said, hey, I don't mind helping you, but can you stay over there?
Yeah, we got yellow and orange in between that.
But if they don't listen to that, and you're also trying to figure out, are they not listening to me, or do they actually have ill intent?
Right. Yeah, and you can get that from their face. I mean, when you can see somebody's face, you can see somebody's eyes. You can tell a lot from what's going on. I wish I could think of the exact situation it was, but it was just recent. I don't know if it was just the other night when I was out with KJ or what it was, but we were somewhere and the guy was kind of coming towards us, and I just eyeball them, I eyeball them. I look at their hands, their face, and their waistline.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, anything can happen at any time. And if you're not aware, I mean, I guess, you don't want to be surprised. You're going to be surprised anyways because nothing ever happens. We all know that. Nothing ever happens.
Nothing ever happens. And that's why it's tough for people to think that way or react when something is happening, because it's usually the reaction for most people who don't think about it is, I can't believe this is happening right now.
Right. This can't happen.
Or this isn't really happening. Like, this is not really happening right now.
Yeah, it's totally happening.
If somebody walks up and punches you in the head, for a lot of people, there's this stunned, like, wait, did that just really happen?
Right. Where did that come from?
Versus probably for most people, if they got punched in the head, they probably wouldn't immediately start punching back.
No, most people wouldn't. I mean, even I wouldn't if I was surprised. But if I saw anger coming at me or I expected that to happen, it's going to be a lot easier for me to react appropriately.
Yeah, to turn it on.
Yeah, I mean, you're already at a certain level by seeing what you've seen. But yeah, I mean, when things happen, generally we're caught off guard. We're not ready for it. So the mission for everybody out there watching or listening is to just be ready. Don't be caught off guard. Be caught less off guard than you want to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my mission in life. I mean, I'm not a tacty cool guy. I always carry a knife. I generally have a flashlight on me. I almost always have a gun. But just because I have a gun doesn't mean that I should go there.
Right.
Avoidance is number one, and then just be ready.
It's a good point, because people listening to this, we're gun people. I mean, we're into guns. It's our hobby. It's one of our passions, and we enjoy the mechanical objects. We enjoy talking about this gun versus that gun, and this load versus that load, and ways to carry, and all the gear side of it. And for what we're talking about, concealed carry, we're carrying every day, which I've thought about this, actually. It's kind of interesting, because you go, I carry every day, but then I know it's very likely that I will never have to use this gun.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is kind of wild. Like, every day of your life for the next 30, 40, 50 years, but then you probably will never even use it.
Right. And the way you keep from using it is by being aware. So, when I'm sitting in that gas station today, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, wow, look at all these, there's some seedy looking people, because it's lunchtime and people are coming and going. If something jumped off, oh crap, I don't have a gun. Well, a gun doesn't solve your problem. A gun can help you protect yourself, but absent the gun, I'm thinking, what do I do now? What do I do next? Do I get down in the car? I get low in the car? Do I try to use some kind of structural cover? Number one, I just want to catch anybody that's coming towards me. I would get out of the car and just get away from them, because I'm in the passenger seat. I can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So my brain starts clicking like that. And even if you had a gun on, you should probably do the same thing.
All right, so let's play this. So you're sitting today. This is just an example today, right? You're sitting there getting gas, but you're the passenger. You're riding with somebody. And so you're sitting there while they're getting gas, and you're going, I didn't carry a gun today. So then you're starting to play the what if, the when then game. So what if you were sitting there and you look over and it looks like there's some stranger robbing another person?
Yeah, I'm a good witness.
Yeah.
At that point, I'm hoping he doesn't see me seeing him.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to notice me. I don't want to be a threat. I don't want to look like I know what I'm doing. I don't want to look like I'm noting their clothes or their color of their skin or their hairstyle or their height or their weight. I don't want anybody to notice that.
What would you do if, okay, you're sitting in the passenger seat and some guy, and you happen to not notice, you're looking one direction and they come up to the window and tap a gun on the window, say, get out of the car.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably show them my hands, but not really high. I'd have them to where I could probably open the door, and I would start seriously thinking about thrusting the door into them, knocking them back, and then piling on top of them. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what he's going to do with that gun. Is he just going to shoot me when he's frustrated and I say, listen, I don't have anything, or hey, here's my wallet. Then he shoots me. Right. I don't know, but that's his decision. And my decision is to fight.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably will. Of course, I'm going to look at his eyes too and see what is he thinking? Is he flat? Are his eyes flickering around? Is he looking? Who's looking at me? All that stuff. You take all that into account. Do I have to fight? Maybe I don't have to fight. Maybe if I do fight, I get shot. Hey, man, we live and die by those choices.
Yes, we do. Hey, we'll be right back. Safariland is one of the companies that makes this show possible, and they have a deal for our listeners. Just use the code GUNTALK20Q4 for 20% off at Safariland.com. Obviously, they have holsters, they have belts, they have Ear Pro, they have a lot of different things going on over there, and it's all really high quality stuff, trusted by military and law enforcement for decades. Check out Safariland. Also, Smith & Wesson, their new one, the M&P 12, a bullpup shotgun. It has 2 mag tubes, and it's a very ambi gun. Ambi safety selector, ambi mag tube selector, removable Picatinny rail. One of the things they did on this, the interchangeable M&P palm swell grips. That's pretty cool. One of the really cool parts about this gun is it can hold 20 mini shells in the gun. That's a lot of firepower. Check it out at Smith-Wesson/MP12. Springfield Armory, they just introduced a new 10mm. Yeah, the XDM Elite 3.8 compact OSP. And OSP means you can put an optic on it. And you can actually get it with their optic, the Hex Dragonfly Red Dot. 11+1 rounds in the gun. Has the meta trigger. Check that out at Springfield-Armory.com. Okay, so it's one of those things that, a robbery in your car, get out of the car. And I've thought about this too and going, well, on one hand, well, who cares? Take the car. I'm not trying to get in a gunfight over a car. However, if somebody already has a gun out and they've pointed it at you, you always say means...
Opportunity and intent.
All of those
he's got the means, he's got the opportunity, his intent's generally in his face or his eyes.
Don't you have to kind of assume, because people go, well, he's just going to take your car. Why fight him? Or why, draw your gun? But my assumption, some people go, well, I'm not assuming that he just wants the car. He's pointing a gun at me.
Yeah, you can't assume that he's going to shoot you, and you can't assume that he's not going to shoot you.
Mm-hmm.
You can't assume anything. You have to just go with your instincts at that point. And yeah, if he says, get out of the car, I'm already on my way out of the car, man. If he's close enough to the door, and I've used that tactic before, people up on my door, and I've thrust the door into them, knocked them down, and then, handle them that way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah. What does it take for a muzzle to get trained on you? I mean, it takes a split second. What's a flesh wound going to do to you? I don't know. I mean, if it's bone, I don't know. But, you're probably not going to die. You could.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Don't ask me the question. Don't ask me what to do.
Something that you've said and others have said is, and it goes both ways, is if you ask someone to move, they're going to move. If you say, put your hands up or get down on the ground or whatever, and it's kind of the same, it goes both ways. So if this person says, get out of the car, they're expecting movement, which is kind of what you're saying is, cool.
Yeah.
He's expecting movement, so I'll give him some movement.
Yeah, just don't expect you to jack them like that. I mean, they tell you to put your hands up and the gun's close enough, your hands come up. Maybe you're able to snatch the gun. Maybe you're able to redirect it, control it, and then counterattack. I don't know.
That's a good point. It was kind of funny. We were doing an episode of a first-person defender, and I was playing the bad guy. And we had, our good guy was a trainer who had been through a bunch of different classes, and he did train people as well. And I was trying, we kind of work, sometimes we work towards a goal of like, we're hoping he does a certain thing. We can't control it. But I was trying to give him a chance to draw on me as I robbed this store. So I'm up there at the cash register. I forced everybody down on the ground. I can't remember. You might have been there, Chris, in the grocery store.
It's probably
possible. It's very possible. And I tell him to get down on the ground. He's down on the ground, and I'm halfway looking at the people on the ground with my gun, and I'm halfway looking at the person at the register. What I'm expecting him to do was pull his gun while I was distracted and shoot me or give me commands or whatever. What he ended up doing, which I didn't expect, honestly, was he lunged at me and grabbed my arm, grabbed the gun, and now we're kind of wrestling over it, which at that point we had to call end exercise because we're really not supposed to go hands-on for this particular instance in this show.
Fingers can get broken.
Yeah, it's bad news. So he actually he did what he thought was right. He did for the purposes of the training. We asked them not to do that, so we had to say stop. But he did make a point. He says, I've done classes where they say, if you're a particular distance, if you're 2 or 3 feet away, you might be better off going for the bad guy's gun versus drawing your own gun.
Oh yeah.
And I think a lot of us go carry gun. I practice my draw, front sight focus, trigger press.
It's not all about the gun.
But if a dude is like that close, it's very possible you're better off going for the gun.
Yeah. And you may at that point get control of the gun, redirect it, and then draw your own gun at that point. Right. I mean, you may end up with his gun in your hands. I mean, if you use enough force and violence, you could end up with the gun in your hands. The gun may go off. It may malfunction. Mm-hmm. Is it a revolver? Is it a semi-auto? If I ride my hand over the slide and I keep it in battery, the gun goes off. So what? Now I've got, a great rock that maybe he doesn't know how to clear.
I think in that case, if it's the bad guy, if there's a lot of ifs here, but if you do have your hand over the slide and the muzzle's pointed in a safe direction, it may not be all bad for the gun to go off.
No, it's not at all.
It's maybe good.
Hope it
cause a malfunction, assuming that the bad guy doesn't exactly know what to do after that. It's a lot
easier to fight over that gun than it is over a loaded gun that's ready to fire. I've taught drills. We teach people how to hold their gun into battery when you're pressing into somebody or something to fire. It stays in battery. As long as it doesn't come out of lockup, the gun's going to stay in lockup. It's not going to eject. It's not going to do anything. It doesn't hurt. There's nothing to it. But yeah, if you have a piss poor grip on it and the gun goes off and the slide starts to move, you might get cut.
You might get pinched.
You might get some powder burns coming out of the chamber area. But the gun's still going to malfunction because it's probably not going to cycle all the way.
Right.
Which is great because you're trapping the shell. The shell might get caught in there. I'd much rather fight over that gun with a bloody hand than have to fight over a gun that I'm worried about where the muzzle's pointed every instant.
Yeah. Not having a bullet hole in part of me.
Yeah.
Whatever that part is.
There's give and take in everything that we do. I mean, there's risk. Everybody says, well, safety first. Well, safety is never first. If it was first, I wouldn't have gone where I was at today. I was out on country roads. We were driving on, roads that are 55 plus miles an hour. And there's nothing in between me and the other car coming at me than painted lines. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to trust that person stays on the other side of their painted line. Well, if safety was first, we'd say, okay, first you go down this road, and then we'll let the other car go down this road.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
We wouldn't be able to do anything if safety was first.
Yeah. And that's a whole nother conversation we could get into of government and safety and this and that. Like, well, they would make all the speed limits 15. And they would have, steel barriers on every single lane. Right. So it's not possible to get into wrecks. But there is an admitted point of we're acceptable danger.
Acceptable risk.
Acceptable risk for living in society and doing your thing.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, everything we do has give and take. I mean, if safety was first, who would ride a motorcycle? Right?
Yes.
Am I right?
Organ donors.
Yes, mostly.
All right. So when, then, what ifs? Boy, we had. How often this happened last night? I'll be honest. There was some noise in the house. It wasn't a noise like, oh, that's obviously a stranger walking around my house, but it was just some random noise that was happening, and I'm half asleep, and the wife is like, what is that? Well, maybe we should go look. And I'm like, no, like it's something making a noise. It's like creak.
Nothing ever happens.
And I'm like, I'm not clearing the house at every noise that pops up in the middle of the night. I don't know. That's just me. But I'm like,
well, you can't live in fear either.
no.
If you live in fear and if every bump in the night makes you get out and get your flashlight and you're gone.
Maybe that's just my personality. I'm sure there's probably people listening going, heck yeah, every time I hear something at night, I go walk around the house and check it all out.
Well, I'm the same way. I mean, I came here on this trip. I just didn't want to deal with a gun because it was going to be a short turn. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I took that risk. It's like, listen,
yeah.
I mean, I can't be on edge all the time. I mean, I was an air marshal.
Right.
And I know what it's like, right after 9/11, what it was like to be on edge for so many hours in a day. Like constantly watching and observing and thinking everything was, going to jump out and get you. I mean, it's absolutely fatiguing.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I got a couple more companies to thank for their support here. There's a new gun from Armscor Rock Island Armory, and it's the STK 100. This is a 9mm, 17-round capacity, solid aluminum frame gun. And I've shot it. It's pretty impressive, actually. It's optics-ready slide. It has an extended beaver tail, and that really comes from their heritage of making 1911s. So they wanted to bring some of that shootability and ergonomics to this new platform, the STK 100. You can find out more at armscor.com. Also, CrossBreed Holsters. Holsters for all types of carry and firearms configurations. One of the things that CrossBreed seems to do really well is they really make a big effort to have holsters ready for when new guns come out. So they are working with the major gun manufacturers to get those guns in beforehand so they can make the forms and have holsters available. So when you hear about the new Hellcat RDP or the new P365 from SIG or whatever it is, CrossBreed is making a big effort to have those ready to go. These are handmade in the USA and they offer a lifetime warranty. Check them out at crossbreedholsters.com. Remington Ammunition, the Golden Saber bonded defensive loads. I mean, you got to carry quality defensive loads. Lead core, hot bonded to a brass jacket. So you kind of have the traditional meets the high tech. So you get those lead core hollow points that people trusted for years, but it holds together using some new technology or updated technology. Made in the USA, available in 4 popular calibers. Check it out, remington.com/handgun. So bump in the night. I mean, let's say there is something that you're like, man, what was that? I mean, there's so many what ifs to that. I mean, I have kids in the house, so that changes everything. No kids in the house. I feel like it's pretty easy. I mean, for me,
easier,
right?
Sure.
I mean, for me, bedroom door is closed and locked. And if there's a bump in the night outside of the bedroom, cool.
Yeah, you could barricade yourself in there. And
you guys just go do whatever. Take the TV.
I don't know who's out there, but you need to get out of the house. I'm calling the police.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be that easy, right?
If you're dumb enough to try to come through the bedroom door that's locked,
you're probably going to get shot.
Yeah.
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 I mean, it could be that easy. I think about that kind of stuff too. My old house had the kids were upstairs. We were downstairs. And I would have to think, well, I mean, my kids always had loaded guns in their bedroom because of that. I mean, if somebody came in and they heard commotion downstairs, they were told to stay up, stay upstairs. If it gets quiet and it doesn't sound like we're winning, then maybe you want to come down and help us. Or maybe you just wait until somebody comes up the stairs that's not saying, hey, are you guys okay?
Right. That's an interesting point. I wonder how many people teach their kids that type of stuff. And obviously, your kids had a good amount of experience shooting guns, were familiar and safe and proficient enough.
It's weird. It is weird.
But I had guns in my room growing up, and I didn't keep them loaded, but I had guns in the room and I had ammo in the room. Probably today people go, that's insane.
I know.
But I knew not to load the guns.
Well, the thing is,
I would dry fire with my hunting rifle in my room, just practicing.
Your dad never had to worry about you. and hopefully he was worried about the other kids that come to your house. That's what I always worry about.
You're right.
And I would always tell my kids, hey, listen, I know you guys the stuff up there that this stuff comes, up in conversations. You have got to just handle it correctly. If somebody wants to see something, then let me know.
Right.
Just, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
Involve me in that.
But I like the idea of going, okay, are your kids or whoever else is in the house? I mean, it could be a kid, it could be a mother-in-law, it could be anybody. Are they part of the plan? Have you let them in on your plan? Because you may have, I'm the gun guy. I go to the shooting range a few times a month. I carry every day. Well, what about your wife? What about your kids? What about whoever else is living in the house?
Do they know what to do?
You may have this whole plan. Do they know the plan?
Right. My kids always knew what to do. They knew that if something happened, if this happens, then you're going to do this. The big thing is, you can tell from sounds downstairs who's winning a fight. And you can tell after the quietness which team won.
Yeah.
Because you're going to figure it out.
Right.
If I call for help, then you should come to help.
I need help.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I don't call for help, then hold what you got.
Yeah. Especially tactically in that specific scenario where kids are upstairs, just stay upstairs. I don't want you coming downstairs in the middle of this. It's going to complicate everything.
Right. You don't know. They could walk into something and become a hostage themselves. There's so much if you don't think about that kind of stuff, if you don't think that way, you're woefully unprepared.
And I think some people would look at that and go, man, you guys are really worried. You guys are really paranoid
crazy.
Or whatever. But no, that actually it's comforting because you go, okay, we've had a plan. We have a plan. We have thought through this. We've discussed it. I know at least they know where I'm at. We're all on the same page of what we're going to do. To me, it's more concerning if you go, no, my wife has no idea what's going on. My kids have no idea.
That's no good. It's a plan. It's a loose plan.
No plans are
It's
perfect.
a very loose plan.
Sure.
It may or may not work, but having a plan is better than making it up because the street is a poor place to improvise.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You can't you're not going to say, well, man, if this ever happens, I'm just going to go ape shit.
Really? Tell me about this ape shit belt you have. What is
People say that all the time. And they're like, well, I'm just going to go nuts.
I'll just go Tasmanian devil on them.
Yeah, you can't.
How? Like, have you ever done that before? Have you ever been in a fight?
Yeah, you can't. You're not going to rise to the occasion. You're going to default to what you've most often done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what most people will do.
It's a good point. And a lot of times the bad guys have been in more fights than you have. We typically don't get in fights a lot. If you get in lots of fights,
I haven't been punched in the face in a long time. It's been a long time.
Which is all good. It's all fine, right?
I kind of keep it that way. Keep it that way for a little while at least.
Yeah. And I guess then we start getting into the gear thoughts of, okay, how proficient is everyone else in the house? And what should they maybe have as their means of protection or whatever? And I would think that's not a one size fits all.
No, that's a whole nother episode.
That's a whole nother episode.
Like the other day, I stuck a 380 in my pants because I was dressed comfortably. It was warm. I put my little 380 in my pants. And for whatever reason, I picked up the spare mag and said, I'm going to take this tonight.
Mm-hmm.
It's hit or miss, man.
Yeah.
Chances are I'm going to have a gun on me. Challenge
yourself, and I do this personally, challenge yourself to find a reason to carry. When you're having that voice going, I don't need to carry or whatever, I don't feel like it. Just take 30 seconds and go.
I don't have that voice anymore.
Can I predict the future? I
don't have that voice anymore. My voice says, is this enough gun today?
Mm-hmm.
But it's never I don't need a gun. It's never that. Like, I don't feel like taking it.
Yeah.
Like if I walk past my display of options and I don't pick one up, like I go back and it's like something just grabbed me by my shirt collar and yanked me back and said, "Hey, you forgot your heater." you got to stick your heater in your pants. I mean, it's just not, it's part of, there is no option not to. Yeah. Because you're responsible. As a responsible person, you're just responsible for safety. And I'm probably the best choice they've got out there, when something bad happens. So play the when then game, play the what if game. It is training. And take it to the extremes. Yeah. Train your brain. Take it there. If this happens, I'm going to do that. When this happens, I'm going to do that. I mean, it's reality. Challenge yourself also, I think, to don't imagine everything going well. Imagine it didn't work. And this is not my idea. This is stolen from other trainers, and Clint Smith and some others have said this stuff is like, okay, I'm going to imagine that they do this and I do this, and then that doesn't work. And then this doesn't work. I mean, it's like the example of the gas station. Oh, I'm going to slam the door into them and jump on him. Grab the gun. You're going to get shot. You're probably going to get shot. What if you get shot? Right. Yeah. You're not going to freak out. You're going to say, I knew that was going to happen. And you didn't know his buddy was walking up as you did that. And now you get smacked on the back of the head or whatever. Right. Now what? Yeah. And expect that, but I'm ready. Uh-huh. Yeah. I mean, you got to figure if you grab for someone's gun, you're going to get hurt. Yeah. And it could be a gunshot. Mm-hmm. But it's not going to end your day. Hopefully. It doesn't end your day. Hopefully. No, it doesn't. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Just a little mental fuel for you. Hope to get your gears turning. And if you think of any when-thens, sometimes we'll do this in the office and come up with some interesting ones, some challenging ones. I'd love it if you'd send it to us, info@guntalk.com, or hit us up just in the comments on YouTube or Facebook. If you say, what about this? What if this? What if that? I like playing the game. I think it's good exercise for all of us. We'll see you next time on Gun Talk Nation.